Hey, everybody, in this episode of the GH Report, only 4 episodes this week, 1.5 Scorpio sightings, and Ryan starts getting creepy. It's the GH Report next.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Oh, that music is playing. That means it's time for the GH Report right here on AfterBuzz TV. This is a show, of course, where we like to dive deep into and discuss and analyze all the comings and goings and ins and outs and drama and hilarity that make up every single week of General Hospital. I'm one of your hosts, and the lesser of the two, Frank Moran.
And I'm your co-host, Carla Renata. What's up, Frank?
Not much, Carla. Before we get into all the other business at work, though, we should look way out here into our studio audience. Let's give a shout out to our special studio audience member, Karen. Look at that, sitting in. Yes. Let's get it for Karen. Come on, Carla.
I love how Frank always acknowledges my guests that do not want to be acknowledged. So thanks for that.
You're welcome. I was happy to do so. She did not come all the way down here to just sit in a room and not be acknowledged.
Yeah, she did.
Nope. Not while I'm around. I'm going to acknowledge a fellow human being.
All right,
Karen,
then.
welcome. There you go. I apologize. You have to watch me in action. That's a shame. Now, as always, folks, like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and Carla's got her iPad up and running, which means the chat is up and running.
Yes.
And I know you folks are some of you are in there, especially like Kelly from PEI. I'm sure just chatting away in there. So keep those chat and thoughts and comments coming. Carla loves to read those.
I do. They give me life. And first up, they're talking about Ava.
Oh, Ava. Well, that's true because we didn't really get a chance to dive deep into the Ava stuff last week.
Yeah,
There's
Ava
so
and
much to catch up
Kiki
on.
and all that. So
Let's just jump into it.
they're saying Ava needs to get her butt whooped. Well, they didn't say butt. They used another word, but I'm saying butt.
Keister?
No, it would
Booty?
start with an A. But anywho, yeah, Ava's really interesting because Ava is like an impetulant child who probably shouldn't have been somebody's mother. Because how are you going to treat your child with the same disdain that you would treat another adult, and that's your child? You know, she says that Kiki has it coming to her, and she's going on and on about Kiki flaunting Griffin in her face. It's like, Griffin was too young for you to begin with, so there's that.
Well, she's had her thing for the younger men before.
I know, because she dealt with Michael's brother. What was his name? Morgan. So she was dealing with Morgan, and we saw how that turned out. And now she was dealing with Griffin. We saw how that turned out. And now she's all pissy because Griffin has a thing for her daughter and vice versa. Because they can relate more. They the same age. Like, come on, girl, get your life. I can't with you.
Well, I mentioned this a little bit last week, too. It's that anybody who mentions the fact that Ava did this multiple times with Kiki with Morgan, she will not have any of that.
And she had no remorse, none. I take that back. She would say she was sorry, like, oh, Kiki, I'm so sorry, please forgive me, and then go right back and do it again. So she wasn't really sorry. She's selfish. She was more about her own selfish needs and wants than she was about her daughter's needs and wants. She didn't care. And now she's pretending that she cares because she said, I loved Griffin. No, you didn't. Because somebody that loved Griffin wouldn't hold on to test results and then use them against him the minute he made you mad. That's not what you call loving somebody.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Ava operates with a scorched earth policy. So you do her a slight, and she just burns everything around you that you care and love about.
And in the chat room, they said they love when Kiki slapped the hell out of her. She had it coming, though. She had that coming. That was a slap very well deserved and a long time coming.
Well, and Ava does this thing where she will just lay into Kiki and just say very hurtful things. And then as soon as Kiki,
things.
and Kiki will just like, well, that's it. You don't have to worry about ever seeing me again because we're done. And then walk out. And then she'll do that turn where she's like, it looks like the wounded animal. Where she's like, wow, what's happening? Why? What happened? I'm like, oh.
I can't stand whiny Ava. Whiny Ava just is like nails on a blackboard to me. I cannot stand her for that.
Well, let's talk about Ava just in general for a second. Do you find that she is a character that you love to hate?
Yes, absolutely. She is a character that I love to hate. Like, honestly, I would be sad if she weren't there because she gives me something to talk about. but they're making her very one-dimensional right now, and I need for them to make her a little bit more multifaceted. Because for a minute she was a little more multifaceted, and then she was even more fun to hate. But now she's just kind of one note, don't you think?
I feel like more often than not, she seems to have been one note for the lot of time that she's been on the show. It's just I feel like she's almost invariably set up to always be the loser in any situation.
Right. Well, no, I don't know. How about when she slept with Sonny in the crypt, like back in the day?
Oh, that was a highlight. I'm sure everybody was like, if we're talking about Ava's accomplishments, yeah, A+ for sleeping in a crypt.
I mean, not for sleeping in the crypt, but I'm just saying that wasn't when she was dealing with Sonny and that whole situation being pregnant. She was never acting like the wounded animal until he threatened to take her out if anything happened to the baby.
Well, then the whole custody, then she was kind of portrayed as the loser for that.
With Avery, yeah.
Oh, and then
it's just been an ongoing thing.
Let's not forget her time posing as her identical twin sister.
That was the worst storyline ever. With the black hair. I was like, really? Did they really just put her in a black wig? That was so not... Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't even have a discussion about that, because when that happened, I was like, is that what we doing right now? Okay. And I'm supposed to believe this? All right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're trying to show, like, just through sheer force of will, she can make the world bend to what she wants it to do.
Oh, hell no. I gotta come out of the sweater. It's hot.
All right. There you go.
Dun. No.
Ba-bum. Ba-bum. You have family here, Carla, please.
Oh,
All right. Go.
Look, she's family. But she know me. We've known each other our whole lives. It's all good.
It's this robing in front of family is fine. That's right.
Whatever.
Yes.
Who else we want to talk about? We didn't talk about Kiki. We didn't talk about Ava. We want to delve right into the big fish of the week, Ryan? Or we want to save him for last?
Now, let's talk, because I love myself some John Lindstrom. We all know that. And I've talked about how excited I am to get any of Mac and Felicia more involved in a storyline. So we got Creepy Ryan. And Creepy Ryan gets a chance to finally, sit across from Felicia.
He was living this week. My favorite Felicia and Ryan moment was when she said, hold on, let me find it. When she said to him that he tried to take the life from her. He tried to take away from her her family and her friends, and now she has them, and now he's not there. And she said, and she's so glad that he'll never be able to touch her again. And then John Lindstrom reached across that table and held her hand. I'm like, whoever, I don't know if that was an acting choice on John Lindstrom's part, or if that was the director's choice, or if it was written in the script, or what it was. But that was freaking brilliant.
Yeah,
that was a great moment.
I'm really enjoying this, and just seeing some veterans get a chance to really dig their teeth into a good storyline. And so I'm hoping, just what we've seen a little bit of Lucy and Mac and Felicia, that this continues to be fully explored with all those characters involved. Especially when you add Laura back into the mix too.
Yeah,
I really want to see the veterans have a chance to really shine in a story.
It's going to be a lot of flashback situation going on, I think.
Well, of course, if you got footage back from like 25 years ago.
I love that. But this is one of the things I love about General Hospital. They're so good at bringing people back to the show that have been there for eternity, bringing people in and out, that they do have that footage to go back to, and then we get to see them, and it's so funny because in the current day, we forget how really young they were when they first came on the show. A lot of them were like in their 20s.
Yeah.
And so to see them with those little fresh baby faces is so cute.
That
I love
sweet 90s John Lindstrom hair.
I know. But we talked about that before, how they took his hair and flipped it over to one side to have him be Ryan. I'm like, oh my God, really? Is that what we're going to do to make the difference? Okay, there's that. But the other thing about Ryan that was really interesting is that he's starting to discover relationships between people that might be able to work, that he might be able to have work to his advantage. Like him discovering the relationship between Maxie and Peter, and how his ears kind of perked up because Maxie's Felicia's kid, and he's kind of like, oh, so you have this son and you like this dude named Peter? Okay. And then we see how he's trying to manipulate Franco. We see how Peter has come to him and saying that he wants to talk to him, so we don't know how he's going to end up manipulating Peter, but I can kind of see that coming. And I don't know if Peter's going to end up being in a situation where Anna will have to come to his defense in that regard with with Ryan or not. We're also seeing Lucy, because Lucy as flaky and as crazy as Lucy Co is, she is nobody's fool, and she's already peeping that something's not quite right. It's only going to be a matter of time before she figures out what time it is.
Yeah, it's.
And I think it's going to be sooner than later, don't you think? With her,
it's tough to figure out with GH because sometimes they'll accelerate a storyline and sometimes they'll really draw a story out. And I don't know how they're going to play this one. If they're going to really slow burn this, if they let John, because if they're really loving what John Lismer is doing is Ryan, and they just want to really milk it.
I don't think they're going to milk it with like. There's only so much milking that you can, because Lucy has said on numerous occasions already she's peeped that his behavior is not quite right. And then every time she would try to comfort him, like if that was Kevin that she was trying to comfort, he would be all about it. But every time she tries to comfort Ryan, he seems oh so annoyed at the fact that she even touched him.
Well, but also I could see her thinking that, I mean, true, but she did cheat on Kevin with Scotty. So I don't know how, I mean, Kevin
But she apologized for that too.
Well, yeah, but I don't know
But
how.
she apologized to Ryan, not Kevin. So.
Yeah. Oh, so I don't know how Kevin would necessarily act to some touches from a woman that kind of really broke his heart.
But that's just it. We've seen Lucy and Kevin in scenes before on GH post their breaking up, where they've touched, they've hugged, they've even pecked each other on the cheek, and it wasn't that repulsive reaction from Kevin. So the fact that Ryan's being all like, ew, why are you touching me? Do you have cooties? Kind of reaction is making her go, something is not quite right. She called him Mr. Grumpy.
Yeah.
And said that, maybe he was missing Laura or whatever, and that she was going to make it her mission to, keep him occupied until Laura got back in town. And that's what makes me think they're planning something for him to do something to Lucy. Or threaten her or something, because she's on to him.
Well, I hopefully, whatever it is one of those things where it takes her out of the picture, but is not
I don't think they're going to kill her. I don't think they're going to kill her.
There's no way you get rid of Lynn Herring. Even if you don't use her as often as I think a lot of fans would like to have her be used, you still have the nurses' ball every year, and she's too integral to the nurses' ball.
Exactly. No, they're not going to kill her. They're just going to have him do. They're going to have him do something to her to keep her indisposed for a minute, and then there's going to be some event or something that she's attached to that people are going to wonder where she is, and it'll probably make Mac or somebody go look for her, like. You know what I mean?
I mean, certainly
I'm just, spitballing. I don't know what's going to happen, but,
It sounds like you've been in the writer's room.
I haven't been in the writer's room, but I am a writer, so there's that.
I figure it'll be interesting to see how long he is just walking around Port Charles before he decides, like, you know what, I need to take my first victim. Whoever it may be, whether it's Lucy or just somebody else, some random person.
I think he's going to try Felicia, because did you see the look on his face when Felicia was talking about him? The more she talked, the madder he got. Like, if he could have reached across that table and punched in her throat, punched her. If he could have reached across the table and punched her in her throat, he probably would have. Because he was incensed by what she said.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see because Felicia's the one that got away, but is that just one that got away because he's obsessed with her, or one that got away because of somebody that he wanted to kill? And she got away from him in that respect.
I think it's all that, and I also think that he secretly has a thing for Felicia and is annoyed that she's not attracted to him. I think he's annoyed that there's not something in her psyche that is turned on by the fact that he's crazy. People that from what I've read about serial killers, each one of them usually. Real serial killers, not the ones we see on TV and a soap. But serial killers have the biggest thing that for them is their ego. So the reason they do what they do in the first place is to placate their ego, to get attention. They have these big egos that need a lot of attention. So in the premise of the soap for General Hospital, this is a character whose serial killer ego needs a lot of attention, and he's getting it from all these different people coming to him thinking that he's his brother for guidance and counseling when he knows full well that there's nothing that he can do. He's getting people coming to him for advice that don't know that He counsels people. He's getting all these people coming in his direction, and then he's switching up the exact opposite of what Kevin said for the treatment for the people that he does treat. So he's saying the exact opposite of what Kevin told them they should do. And people are did you see how they looked at him at that table with some of the stuff he said? They were like, what is wrong with, why did you say that? Like, what are you thinking? What do you mean? And then Felicia was like, but you're not like Ryan. And then she goes in on Ryan, like for a whole monologue goes in on Ryan. And the more she talks about him, the pissier he gets, and the more his ego is being dragged through the mud, and he's not having it. He's not having any of that at all. She said that that at the end of the day, she won. He's dead, and so she's got to live the life that she wants to live.
Yeah.
But he knows that he's not. He's sitting right in front of her face. I'm eager to know what's going to happen when she figures out that it was Ryan that actually touched her hand and not Kevin. Like, is she going to remember that she even said that? I would remember. I think I would remember that because that's kind of creepy. He's just creepy. He's not as creepy as Dr. Bench, though. That's a whole nother different type of creep.
I gotta talk to Dr. Bench. But you know what? And here's a great segue. You know who's not creepy? Our great AfterBuzz fans there.
Wow.
Because what a great praise there. Shh, quiet, Siri.
There's nothing to read.
That's right, Siri. But I disagree. There is something to read right now. Because you know what? AfterBuzz, our network produces after shows for nearly all your favorite TV shows, from dramas, reality TV, sci-fi, and more. No network works harder to serve you, the TV fans, but we need your help. We're asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. By subscribing to our channel, YouTube will suggest content that's tailor-made for you. Yes, you out there in Kelly and PEI, and you'll help AfterBuzz continue to grow. And if you're worried about pesky notifications, don't worry about them because they're optional. So hit that subscribe button now for this channel and check out all our other AfterBuzz TV channels as well. Let us know you did so in the comments. Carla Renata, the curvy critic herself, is going to compose. She's going to write. She's probably about writing skills. She's going to write you a nice little mini biography that you can use or anything.
I did not brag. Okay, I did not brag about my writing skills. I said I could write. I didn't say I was like Ernest Hemingway or nothing. I just said I could write.
Oh, it was a brag. So she'll write you a nice little mini bio that's going to make you seem so awesome that you can use for like flyers or events that come up in your life. She will.
He's lying.
She'll do it. So just make sure you mention that in the comments so she can start working on that carefully crafted mini bio for you.
No, don't do that.
And for now, though, thanks for being the best TV fans in the world and a big AfterBuzz fans and helping us become the ESPN of TV talk.
Well, that was a nice soapbox moment.
There you go. That's right.
So let's see. Who else did we see? We saw. Let me flip back to Kiki for just a second. So there was that moment that she had with Griffin where she said that Maxie and Nina were coming to her about doing a fashion spread for Crimson.
Yes.
And when they said hashtag GH2, I was like, oh, so that's what it's called? Because they never said what the hashtag was. I assumed it was hashtag Me Too, but no, it's hashtag GH2. So there's that. And then
because everybody in the world is like looking as General Hospital as the leading hospital. So it's like, oh my gosh, this even affected General Hospital? Oh.
GH2. So there's that. And then there's that moment where she's like, well, I don't think I should, be in a fashion spread after everything that happened. And Griffin's all like, well, why should you hide how beautiful you are? And she's like, really? You think I'm beautiful? I'm like, okay, and here we go.
We've been speculating about what's going to happen with Dr. Bench, so that could definitely be something once that magazine gets published. That boom, he's out on the newsstand as he's walking around trying to find another job and sees that magazine that kind of fires him back up again.
Let's hope he never rears his ugly head again. But let's hit the biggest storyline that hit GH this week, and that was Oscar finding out about his condition.
Yes. I've not been in the position where you've had to tell such devastating news to a child, and especially one that is your own child.
Mm-hmm.
Some rough scenes there, and you could understand the confusion and the anger that Oscar's having towards Kim and Drew.
I think the young man that played Oscar did a really good scene. That scene with him and Drew and Kim in her office, where he was like, "Is it true? How much time do I have?" He went from being overly optimistic to the point of, okay, so I have this. So what kind of treatment do I get? When do I start? He went from that to, I hate you. Why didn't you tell me this is my life? You should let me make a decision about my own life. I mean, the multitude of emotions that he underwent in the course of that was absolutely fabulous. He did a wonderful job. Wonderful, wonderful job.
And Kim, for all her, what may have been good intentions on her part, just everything that Drew had kind of been warning about kind of ended up happening.
Yeah, I mean, she's just a mom trying to do right by her kid, and I think her, like you said, she had good intentions. She wanted him to not have a birthday that was colored with the fact that he was sick. She just wanted him to enjoy one good birthday without knowing that he had a brain tumor, and then Cameron's ass just messed all of that up.
Well, I'm not gonna throw the blame at Cameron on this. I mean,
I'm gonna throw the blame at Cameron because Cameron was the one that got up in his face at the shelter.
True. I mean, that's
You know what I mean?
the wrong way to go about this.
And that's why he left the shelter. He left the shelter because Cameron was up in his face going, "Why don't you tell her the truth? You're a liar. You're this, that, and the other." And he's like, "I'm not." But then there was that moment where they were going back and forth, and Oscar says, "My parents would tell me, wouldn't they?" And then in that moment, he realizes that he needs to go and ask them because maybe what Cameron is saying is the truth and they just haven't told him. And then we see that scene in the hospital where he confronts them. But if Cameron had never said anything to him, he wouldn't have known.
True, but at least I'll give it up for Cameron.
For a minute.
True, but he does realize that, oh, wait a second, this is not something that Oscar's doing to hurt Jocelyn. He himself doesn't even know. So I feel like Cameron also kind of regrets stirring this whole pot up and being somewhat responsible for this whole train starting to roll in terms of.
And to his credit, he didn't, when he was with Joss and Joss kept going, "Why isn't he calling me back? Where is he? Blah, 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 blah." And she was asking all those questions. Cameron could have easily come out and said, "Well, this is what happened. And this is why he could have said everything, could have told her everything." And to his credit, he didn't pop off at the mouth. So I had a little bit more respect for Cameron in that moment. He's like, "Yeah, we got to go to history class. Come on, let's go."
Yeah. It's, it's tough to figure out, like, teenagers, they're going to react to different things in different ways. Mm-hmm. But I also can see the hand of the GH writers in that, where I don't know if I necessarily buy that Cameron would see that on the screen and then all of a sudden jump to, like, thinking that Oscar's lying about this.
I thought that was odd, too.
But the writers needed something to kind of get that twist.
Catapulted. Yeah. And then the other thing that I appreciated about the Oscar storyline last week is the fact that when he did, run off to just clear his head, the one person that he confided in was Jason. And I love how Jason didn't make his presence known when Kim and Drew showed up to come get him. Like, that was really stellar on his part. And then I love how Jason peeped the fact that the reason why Sam was so dogmatic in him keeping or reestablishing a relationship with Drew is because she knew what was going on with Oscar, which brings him back to Sam. And I hollered when that music started because I'm like, I know that Frank is having a nervous breakdown right now.
That it's great. We're talking about a child dying, and we're gonna throw that song in, man. Oh, come on now, GH.
I knew you were like, what is happening?
That was just rough. It is. Jason is a great character. I feel like that you can put him in those kind of scenes with any sort of character because I feel like he doesn't judge. He will listen to what you have to say.
That's the one characteristic about that character that I really like, that he has the ability not to judge, which is really interesting because before he had the accident back in the day and his personality kind of changed, he was very much that person, him along with his brother AJ. And since the accident, he's become not that person because of the personality he's taken on and the life he's taken on with with helping Sonny and everything. Yeah. But that is one of the qualities I love about that character, that he is non-judgmental.
But he's also very black and white, too.
There's no gray at all.
So when you get somebody like Franco, boom, that does it. It's like, I don't care. I will immediately see you in a hospital and punch you right in the face.
Punch him in his throat.
That is it. So, but that's why I think I like about that. He has like this moral compass about him that works. And if you're on the right side, you're right, and if you're on the wrong side for whatever he thinks, that's it. There's no coming back from it.
And I love that he was the person that made Oscar call his parents, because he wasn't going to call his parents. He actually was going to try to jump off that pier, wasn't he?
Well, I knew he's going to for sure throw his phone in there.
Oh. So, and then Jason was like, "You don't want to do that." So I was like, "Oh, is he trying to throw himself in there? Or
No.
What's going on?"
Just
But yeah, I love the fact that they had that conversation, and that Oscar very bluntly was like, "What's it like to die?" Because he knows that Jason knows what that's like, to think to be in a situation where you thought you were dead, somebody brought you back to life. You have to come back with people thinking you were dead, and you having to convince them that you're not. Like, that whole situation, as crazy as it is still gives him the perspective of being able to speak on that subject, where a lot of people in Port Charles may not right now.
It is I feel like that is the most frustrating thing to be kind of self-aware in a soap opera universe, where you have seen someone, or you know the story of someone that was shot pretty much almost point blank, falling off a pier, disappeared for 5 years and is coming back. It's like, if somebody can get away with this, then how come I can't get what's wrong with me solved?
Exactly, and that's why I love that conversation, because his mindset went right there, and he was like, "Okay, so what's that like, and can you talk to me about that?" And I love that they had that. They had the conversation that Drew and Oscar should have been able to have, but weren't able to because of his anger at the situation and how it went down.
Yes, and I mean, having Kim right there as well too is not helpful at all. But at least Kim was honest and said, like, Drew wanted to tell you much sooner.
But I love how she just came out with it. That again, back to that scene. That scene was really good. Like, she didn't mix her words. She was like, "Oscar, honey, you have cancer." Like, boom, it was just that simple. And then the camera was on his face, and we got to see him let that sink in for a second, and then ask, "Well, what do you mean?" Like, I love how the whoever directed that episode, I love how the camera was on the person reacting sometimes, as opposed to the person speaking, so that we could see how Oscar felt, as opposed to just listening to the other person spouting out dialogue at him. I really, really, really enjoyed that more than anything.
And I feel like, as a doctor for one, and a mother, if you're gonna rip that Band-Aid off, there's no sense in trying to kind of equivocate or let me give you like the optimistic side. No, I'm just gonna tell you point blank what the deal is. If we're doing this, then I've got to give you it all. Absolutely.
And two other things I wanted to bring up was Aunt Stella and Jordan. I'm gonna need for Aunt Stella to get her life and stop blaming Jordan. Her blaming Jordan for Thomas's death is not gonna bring Thomas back. But it sure as hell is going to prevent her from having any type of happy ending with Curtis, because she just cannot get over it. And I don't understand. Like, part of me gets it, but part of me is like, this doll has come at you several times. Like, she's doing everything and anything she can to make amends for y'all to move forward, and you are just not bending at all. You are just like the most stubborn oak tree ever.
Because that scene kind of thinks like in terms of a soap opera as opposed to real life. In a soap opera, if you're seeing those scenes and they're kind of repeating again and again and again, that we've seen many times in many different stories, as a viewer, I get irritated because you're like, let's just move on. Say yes to this or no, and so we can move on to the next thing.
Don't you feel like I don't know if they did that to see what kind of chemistry the young lady that's playing Jordan now is gonna have with Stella. I don't know if that's why because it seemed like an exact repeat of the scene that happened in the therapy room, just not as intense, right?
Mm-hmm. But then I'm also thinking, in real life, I think people hold grudges, and they are inflexible in terms of. They do. But it's one thing like to understand in real life, but as a viewer watching a show,
you're like, move on already.
Yeah, watching you butt up against a brick wall gets tiresome after a while.
Yeah, it's like, let's move on already. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up was D.A. Dawson, Margot Dawson. how she finally revealed that this dude, the body that they found in the back of Charlie's, what's his name, Vincent Marino, is her dad. Now, this is the problem that I have with that storyline. If the body that they found is her father, why is she continued to why are they continuing to allow her to work on that case? Like, that's a conflict of interest. She shouldn't even be working on it.
She should
right?
absolutely just step back from that. She's too close.
She's like, I'm like, yeah, you shouldn't be doing nothing. You need to step to the side. I need for Jordan to get her up out of there.
Yeah. Why that wasn't the first thing that after Jordan said, why didn't I know about this sooner? To, you can't be on this case.
Right.
We got to move you aside.
Right. I'm like, I have a problem with that. I have a huge problem with that. I'm like, so we're going to have her be dogmatic to pursue this just because it involves Sonny Corinthos? That's not okay. Like, I need for her to step to the side and let somebody else handle that case. It's a conflict of interest. I mean, and even though it's a soap opera, it's still a freaking conflict of interest.
Yeah.
You know?
And I don't know if it's because I haven't cared about Margot, the fact that you've given us this critical piece of information about her where it's like, wow, okay, she lost her father to Sonny. Gosh, that's really motivating.
That's harsh, but
I don't. You've made Margot so unlikable to me that I don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
If I had really liked Margot and then I find out this devastating news, then I'd be like,
I agree with
this
you.
would be kind of an interesting fight because I'm sympathetic towards her, and I can understand Sonny, and let's see what happens when two sympathetic people kind of go at each other. But with Margot, oof, no.
They made her so harsh and so dogmatic when she showed up on the scene that as a viewer, I feel like I didn't have any time to develop any sort of empathy toward her. Because every time you see her, she's got some new hatch plan about how she wants to take somebody down. I'm like, can you just like take a break?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
And yeah, I can see them trying what they're trying to make happen between Drew and Margot, but I just don't feel it.
Me either. When they kiss, it's kind of awkward, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
It's just like, I'm all for Drew moving on to another relationship, but this one just does not.
I don't think this is going to be the one for him. I really don't.
Well, because you see what I feel like the writing on the wall is going to be like, hey, she's going to come clean. So I've got this flash drive, and if you want the flash drive, you got to give me dirt on Sonny so that I can convict him.
I don't think she's going to come clean. I think he's going to find it. Because from a writing standpoint and from a viewer standpoint, I would rather see that than have her come clean because that's so predictable that we would have seen that coming a mile away.
But if she's coming clean in the sense that she's almost, I don't want to say blackmailing Drew, but getting Drew to do what she wants, where I'll give you your memories back, but you got to give me something and you got to get some dirt on Sonny. Which at that point, then it's like even more unlikable. Then why do I even care?
Exactly. So I want them to give me a reason to have empathy for her. Because I like that actress. She's been acting on ABC soaps for quite some time. She was on All My Children for years and years and years. I can't remember her real name, but I remember her face. And she was on All My Children for a really long time. And she's a great actress. But I'm going to need them to give me a reason to feel empathetic toward her. Because right now I could care less.
I feel like, and it's always the troubled part of a soap opera, especially where there's a person in a profession that is, kind of, just illegal, disreputable, but we have grown to, at least the majority of the fan base has grown to love him over the course of time. Like Sonny Corinthos, where it's like, wow, we really should be rooting for Sonny, hoping he gets out of the sticky situation, but then also thinking, he killed a person. So,
but even he said that if he had, and this is one of the reasons why I love the way they write for him. Because even he said when he was talking to Jason, he's like, you know what? Or was he talking to Carly? I forget which one of them he was talking to, but one of them he was talking to them. And he said, you know what? Even if I had to go back in time and do this all over, I would have done it the exact same way. I would have done the exact same thing. I think he said it to Jason.
Yeah.
Because then he said it to Carly, and then Carly communicated that to Jason. That's what it was. And I was like, but I can respect that. I can respect the fact that they had that character admit that, yeah, I did it. No, I don't feel sorry for it, and I would have did it again if given the opportunity. I really respect that they're making that character own up to who he is and not backpedal from it.
But I feel like Carly will apologize for that. Or like, Sonny, I'm worried about
But
Sonny.
she didn't, though. She said, I think he would have done it exactly the same way.
What to jump with another conversation that Carly had with somebody outside of her family was the scene that she had with Franco right outside before they were going to go pick up.
Where she threatened to punch Elizabeth in the throat.
Yeah, or it's like, ease up, Carly. Sure, Franco's not, has got, some stuff in his past, for sure, not great at all. But hold on, Sonny's not some paragon of virtue, and hold on there.
And I love that he was like, yo, I helped you escape from that hospital. I thought we were good. She was like, no, we're not.
Like, what is that all about?
That made me laugh out loud. That actually was kind of funny. I was like, okay, so we only going to show Carly for a split second, and then we going to show her popping off on people. It was kind of funny. But I love how each episode since she got out of Ferncliff, she's getting tanner and tanner.
Of course. If you were locked up in an asylum for a long time, when you wanted to be going and sucking on that UV?
But she came out of the asylum tan. What did she do? She slept in a tan bed while she was in Ferncliff? I don't think so.
There you go. Did you see those scenes where they give her those little goggles for her eyes?
Get out of here with
laying there?
Get out of here with that.
All right, so I guess before we wrap up, we probably should do a little bit of the news and the gossips.
News, yay!
AfterBuzz TV News.
There you go. Yes. So,
Hey.
Jeannie Francis. I mean, her time is coming. Get ready for the excitement of when Laura arrives into town. There, it's it basically, because we had only 4 episodes this week. Thursday was preempted. It bumped Laura's first episode back, which means we won't see her until Monday. So we were going to see her to kind of close out the week, but now we'll see her to start off the week.
Oh,
so
that's
get ready
good.
for that.
We always can use a little Laura in the mix.
Yeah, absolutely. And now it's only going to be a quick pop up because again it was supposed to be Friday, the weekend cliffhanger. So it's only going to be that. Just get ready
So
for it.
now they're gonna have to re-edit it. That's messed up.
It'll be the last scene of the episode where it's like, oh, Laura, hey, you're here. But of course, we're also going to get Spencer's coming back into town as well too. So get ready to see how long. I'll be curious. I don't know how long he's going to be around.
Is it the old Spencer,
Yeah,
or
Nicholas
have they
Speckle.
aged him up and he's a different person?
No way.
Because I'm like, they gotta have the old Spencer because he's hilarious.
Yeah, it's but it'll be interesting to see how he's going to interact with Cameron. Like that's going to be
Like
weird.
Cameron's like big and okay.
Yeah, so that's when it starts getting kind of weird. Like,
Okay.
all right.
Yeah.
I mean, unless Nicholas has had some kind of growth spurt as well since we've last seen him. Who knows?
Yeah.
But and of course we're getting a little flirtation with Christina. She had a little bit about going to a concert.
I know with Miss Daisy.
Hello, yes. There you go. So we'll see if anything happens there. But we're also, again, to talk about something we mentioned last week, is that viewers are always interested in a Valerie Christina perhaps pairing as well too.
They're
So-
saying in the chat room, they're saying Drew and Valerie. They're saying Chase and Valerie.
Drew and Valerie.
Yeah, Drew and Valerie and Chase and Valerie. So they're just throwing everybody at Valerie.
Wow. Well, you know what would be great to be thrown at Valerie, and that is the storyline. We can get a storyline thrown at Valerie. That'd be fantastic. To only have her come in and deliver news to Julian.
You said it.
Yes. So that's our little hot little casting news right there. As we're getting ready to wrap up the show, one thing we didn't touch on is that my tiresomeness of the Brad Lucas storyline. Brad.
I'm tired of him being a nervous wreck. I'm tired of him walking into Charlie's, telling Julian, "You got to do something." I'm like, dude, if you don't go sit in a corner somewhere and shut the hell up, that's getting on my nerves.
It absolutely is.
I went from being his biggest fan and applauding his acting to now you're being nervous Nelly and you're wearing me out.
Yes. And again, it's the same similar beats again and again and again. And like, oh my gosh, please, let's just move on. Either get this under control and deal with it, or spill your guts and
I
throw
think
yourself
he's
on
going
the
to end
mercy.
up spilling his guts because he's a nervous wreck every time we see him. Just a freaking nervous wreck. And he's going to have to spill his guts because there was that revelation that came up that Wiley has the same heart condition as Michael.
Yeah, those are crazy.
So,
what
you know.
are the odds that that happened? But to go back to what you like, they did get us a chance to have a little flashback of Steve Burton holding baby Michael.
I know, that was so okay. And then I forgot this. So when they showed it, I forgot Michael had red hair for the longest time. I forgot that they had Michael being played by a kid that had red hair. I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. So now he got brown hair.
Well, I was reading there to make it all sync up. They're going to have him, Chad, start dyeing his hair red. So
They're not.
That's not true.
I was like, you got to be lying on that one. I'm like, for a split second, I believed you, and I was like, oh no, they're not gonna do that.
No, that didn't happen.
That actor's not gonna do that.
No, all right.
No.
Fine.
Red don't even suit him.
Well, you don't know. Maybe it's just a nice burnt umber.
You did not say burnt umber. I can't with you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready to close the books on another exciting week of the GH Report. But before we wrap up,
Yes.
Karen, how did we do?
Very well.
Oh, look at that. But more Carla than me, right? Be honest.
No,
There was a pause between there, so I know what that's. Carla was great. I was a boat anchor, so nothing has changed. Thank you, Karen. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us for the GH Report. As always, like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and thanks everybody for hopping in the chat, sharing your thoughts. I know Carla loves to read them. Make sure you comment down below that you subscribe so she can start working on your mini bio. She's excited. Look at that laugh.
Can't with you. And I'm your co-host, Carla Renata. You can find me across all social media platforms at The Curvy Critic. You can also find me at 5 p.m. over at Black Hollywood Live on Black Tomatoes. You can find me Wednesday night at the Jack Ryan After Show. And you can find me tomorrow night, Monday night, at the Dancing with the Stars panel after show moderating there.
Man, there's plenty of opportunities for you to get Carla in your life. Take advantage of that. One thing you can do for me, I guess, if you want to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, you can follow me there at HappyGoJackie. Karen, you want to follow me?
No.
No, that wasn't. She wasn't in for that. All right, my apologies. All right, folks, thanks for joining us for the GH Report. We'll be back here next Sunday night with another new episode right here on AfterBuzz TV.
Bye.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.